Coach Teresa Ford here, and this is the Guiding You Home podcast. This is a thought-provoking and often humorous approach to moving you closer to the only one who can genuinely help you live a life of abundance and prosperity. Sound good? Yeah, it's you that needs to go within so you can sit in the driver's seat of your life, co-creating with God. So make room for more light and knowledge. As you continue to listen, you will discover elements of how to lead with your inner light, how to act on your specific promptings, and how to follow your spiritual intuition so you can fulfill the measure of your creation. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Hello. Okay, here we go. This is a podcast about where you're placing your value. And sometimes it gets misplaced. Ask me how I know. My life has just been one long string of identifying what I value. Sometimes we place the highest value on getting attention in a negative way. Sometimes we place our value in getting attention in a positive way. So there's a video out there that it's pretty well known, I think, that, you know, in the psychology world at least, that they did an experiment with a child and a mother. And in this video, the mother was had her child in a car seat, just comfortably strapped in the car seat, sitting on the table. And she was just giving this child all the comfort, all the good cues. You know, the very first thing you do when you come into the world is you know, when the blurriness wears off, you see a smiling face because parents are smiling at you. And we work hard our whole lives to get that smile. And we value that smile. We really place a high value on getting approval, getting attention, getting love. And that is where we get our sense of self. That's where we get our sense of worth. And in this video, the mother is just doing exactly that. This baby is probably, maybe a year old enough to know that mama's smile is highly rewarding and it feels good, and it means all is well, and that there is the relationship is in a good place. So this mother is just cooing and talking to the baby, and the baby doesn't have words. The baby's cooing and smiling and being cute and, you know, being animated and, you know, pointing to the toe, and the mom is like, oh, look at your toe, it's the cutest little toes, and the baby's like, you know, smiling and really interacting. So then the experiment goes to a blank face. So the mother turns around, and when she returns back towards the child, she is just a blank face. There's no expression. She's not frowning. She's not smiling. She's just not reacting at all. And the baby continues to try and be cute and smile and point at the toes and realizes that the rewards are not coming. And so this baby is like, but my greatest, highest value at the moment is getting that smile and having the interaction that makes me feel like our relationship is good and fine and all is well. And so the baby then starts to get a little concerned, and the baby's not smiling anymore, and then the baby gets really upset, and then the baby does whatever it has to get attention, even if it's negative. So the baby's like crying and screaming and trying to turn away from the mother and get out of the car seat and struggle and be upset. And you can tell the baby is distraught, that the mother is not playing by the rules. You know, the rules of engagement are I smile, you smile, or you smile, I smile. And the mother's not responding according to the rules. And so the baby is now trying in a negative way to get that attention from the mother. So the baby's reacting and not in a good way. And then the mother turns around once again, and then comes back smiling and interacting according to the rules. And the baby calms down and stops and studies the mother's face and realizes the mother's back. She's playing by the rules. The baby's like, okay, what a relief. Calms down, and then, takes a second to, get back into the groove. And then pretty soon, with the mother's calm and kind voice and responses and appropriate responses to the baby, wanting to have some interaction, then the baby smiles and they wipe the tears off and the baby's back. So oftentimes in our lives, we place, let me back up. Not oftentimes, all the time. We learned that a smile is the most rewarding thing because it makes us feel good. It makes us feel like we are good. And that is where we learned about self in the early stages. Now, in my personal experience, in my life, my mother did smile at me in the beginning. But there was a lot more not smiling as time went on. There was a lot of contention in her life. Her marriage was very tumultuous to my father. They had their moments. They had good times. There was some pleasant stuff going on sometimes, but the majority of it was not pleasant, and it was hard. And it was part of my conditioning to understand what I valued. And I worked so hard for the smile because that was my highest value, because I believe we are all, happy individuals. We are joy. We are love. We are kindness, generosity. We are goodness. And when things in life are not responding according to that higher value, then we react poorly. We start kicking and screaming against the things that we think are supposed to support our goodness, our lovedness, our connection. That we want to play by the rules without contrast. We tend to resist. We don't want hard stuff. We don't want the difficulties that come along, and we resist them. We don't act great around them. Does that make sense? Like, it's not like you have a miscarriage, you're not supposed to be happy about it. That's not what I'm saying. The point is that acceptance, value on acceptance, value on self-acceptance, that you are still valuable even when contrast happens. That sometimes we put ourselves in the middle of that, and that's part of the pain. It's like, I did something wrong, and so the baby didn't grow. I did something wrong, and I was being punished for the blessing I was seeking. That the universe is not responding with a smile at the moment. And so we go inward. But where do we go inward? Do we stay with our self? Because that is a healthy response. If the baby had just been like, if the baby had had emotional maturity to say, oh, mom's having a hard time, it's not about me at all. Mom's just not responding, and that's okay. I'll just wait for her to respond when she's able. That would be the baby really understanding its own worth. But because a baby's still learning its own worth, we are babies in a lot of ways. If we didn't get that story from our parents, the people that we trusted to give us information about our true worth, because they were in pain, we struggled. And so then we found ways to get attention, to be validated, to be seen, heard, and to matter in some regard in negative ways. So if we're placing a value on getting those things because we are lacking them, or we perceive we're lacking them within ourselves, we're probably lashing out and not acting great. And we're not proud of it. it doesn't feel good. It's not really who we are. It's going against the things that we said we are or would like to be. It prevents good stuff coming into our lives. Everything seems to crash and burn. I mean, that's just a general overstatement, but sometimes we're like, everything's burning down and I hate it, So, we call that drama. When those things are happening, it's only because we don't see and we're not placing a value on our worth regardless of what's happening around us. Regardless of the other people that are having a hard time, or they might be having a moment. Maybe they're not having an entirely hard life, but maybe they're having a moment. Maybe they're having, a period in their life that is, they're trying to figure out how to be a cooperative component too, which is what our last episode was about. So what are you valuing? Are you valuing outside feedback to make you feel good about yourself? Or are you valuing yourself, that you have value, that you are worthy of all the good stuff, and you're not waiting for other people to do that for you? That is the distinctive difference. Is like, where am I placing my value? Am I placing my value in mulling over the past and the hurt and the hard times? And am I getting attention in a negative way? Am I trying to find value because I've had problems? Or is my value in learning from them and then doing good things because of them? Going forward and taking my life in a new direction, in a better direction, that I can look in the mirror and smile back at myself. And that's the smile I've been working for. Wow, right? Like, when I open these episodes, you have to know, I had no intention. Like, I was like, let's talk about value and let's see where that goes. I have no script in front of me, and that's, you can tell, and I don't edit out my ums and my fluffy talk, because this is raw. This is just coming up. And whoever is listening to this, like, the timing of you hearing this and the timing of me recording it is always in perfect timing. Because maybe it's time for you to value yourself regardless of the outside influences. I did not plan to say that, but that's what just came up. And so let's go with it, okay? Placing value on what other people's opinion of you are is just a misperception of the value that you placed on your mother's smile or your father's smile. Usually it's the parent that you struggled to get their approval of most. Like, if you worked really hard to get your father's approval, he's the one that you decided his smile was the most important thing. You were going to work really hard to get him to smile at you, because then it meant you were good, that you had value, that you were worthy, deserving. Maybe it was your mom. I worked so freaking hard to get my mom's approval, to get her to smile at me, to make her proud, to get her to say anything. But if you're working hard to get something from somebody emotionally, you are overworking, because that is not your purpose. Love is who you are. It's what you do. It's how you live. If you allow it, if you value it, it is not going to come to you from an external source, or I should say, even though that is how it was taught to you. It's nice to have other people's approval, but if that is the only way you're finding your personal value, then it is misplaced. Usually, and I would have to say that this is just from my observance and my perceptions and my experiences in life, that the people that are like, wow, I want to be like you, the way you are. I don't know how you got that way, but I'm going to follow you. Those people, yeah, they're the ones that are indifferent, if you will, to the outside approval. And they're like, I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm about. I love the curiosity I have. I love the playfulness that I interact with other people with. I love my ability to be energized, energetic, healthy, well, inspired. Like, those are the people that were like, wow. But their good opinion of themselves is apart from outside approval. They are not living to get the next smile. They're not living to have you tell them they're wonderful. You literally can't say anything to them that they don't already know about themselves. Like, you go to them and say, you're amazing. You're just wonderful. And they're gracious. They're humble. They're like, thank you. But they don't need it. They already know. Like, because they did the work. I know some people that were like, man, you're lucky you had good parents. Because they had good parents. They had good family values. They get along with their siblings. They value one another. They know their worth. Like, there are people like that in the world, and they are not the ones that are listening to this episode, because those of us that want that in our lives are listening. I am continually, every day, working on that story in me. Why? Because my conditioning was really strong. I was not valued. In fact, when given the opportunity, it was used in front of me to hurt one parent to the other. One parent would say, well, you didn't even want Teresa. And I'm like, hello, I'm sitting right here. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay, that's them. They're throwing darts at each other. They're swinging swords. They're trying to hurt one another in the heart. And that's okay. They can do that all they want. They have free agency. It's not really about me. I've had to come to the conclusion that my life was about me discovering that my parents' pain was theirs and that I don't have to carry that pain forward. Their pain is not my pain. Kind of like their emergency wasn't my emergency. They were like, we need you to change and be a good girl in public so everybody thinks we're good parents. Woo, codependent. Alert, alert. I grew up with that, but I was like, you know what? No. But I will say that I parented very much like that. My parenting days were not necessarily proud days. But since then, since I've been able to focus on myself and doing the inner work, I have been able to say, you know what? My parents' pain was theirs. That's not my pain. And if I'm acting like I still am in pain because I'm trying to get attention or find my worth in my problems, living in the past, how hard my life was, the struggles I've overcome, how far I've come. Like, if that's where I'm finding my self-importance, it is misplaced. I'm putting too much value on the struggle and not enough value on my true worth, which is just in breathing. My true worth is just the fact that I have a body and I am interacting in the world in a way that brings me joy, that I am feeling curious and connected and creative in my life. You know what's interesting? I'm just going to share this as a side note, and maybe we'll do an episode on it, is that when I feel like I am unable to express myself creatively, I get tonsillitis. Every single time. And it's not conscious, not till the sore throat shows up, and then I'm like, okay, what are you doing, Teresa? What is the problem this time? How are you trying to get something from other people to make yourself feel validated? Like, that is a question. You got to look yourself in the eyes. I'm telling you, like, there's nobody else that can solve this for me. This is me going, all right, when did you tell yourself that you were stuck? And when did you find value in repeating that idea in your mind? Because if you're feeling stuck, that is because it's something you focused on and internalized, and now you're sick. Congratulations, you did it again. But honestly, that's not who I am. I am a very creative, happy, gregarious, enthusiastic, optimistic type of person. And so I'm like, woof, I was really working against myself. And I have learned that in the process of having tonsillitis, This is something that has affected me my whole life, and I know I could have my tonsils removed. It might solve all my problems. But it's a huge indicator, like physical dysfunction or dis-ease in your body is a sign that you're working against yourself. So when I have been able to identify when I trapped that thought and when I started to focus on it and how I got it so deeply ingrained in me that I needed to be creative to be valued, that I needed to be in the creative mode in order to be accepted, validated, which is not true. Because if you're just valid and valued because you breathe, when you're born and you take your first breath, everybody cheers, it's like, she's alive, the doctor's like, oh, you have a healthy baby girl. Like, everybody's happy and relieved when you take a breath. Literally, your value lies in the fact that you have a body and you're breathing. So if I'm ever like, oh my gosh, I gotta go do this side thing that I didn't plan on doing because somebody else needs my help, and now I have to give up my time and where I was at and my personal growth because now I can't be creative, I get a sore throat. Why? Because it's not true. My value didn't go anywhere. My value is in stone and I can't undo it. But when I try to misplace it, and I try to hide it, I try to get something from other people so that I feel good about myself, I get a sore throat. Isn't that funny? You may have had those experiences. You may get like a pain in your ass. You might have a catch in your hip. You might have, had this stiff neck show up out of nowhere. You're like, I didn't even do anything. I'm telling you, like, when something happens and it just goes, psh, and you're like, what? Why is my body breaking down? There's a reason. And it is always, this is my experience with all my clients and the things that we have worked on together and their solutions and their outcomes and their results, where they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how good this could get. And how, like, people that I work with, they lose 20 pounds and we never talked about exercise or diet. Not once. Nor did they pick up a routine that would have burned calories more. They literally let go of the stress about what they were thinking about because they placed their value in its rightful spot, in their breathing. Why do you think people are always talking about meditation? Just meditate. I've learned that I don't actually have to sit still for hours on end to meditate. That driving in the car, going for a walk, riding my bike is meditation because I'm listening to my breath. I'm like, there it is. I'm valuable. I'm taking a breath in, letting a breath out. I don't have to prove myself to anybody. I am valued. End of story, in concrete, and I'm the only one that undoes it. Nobody else can take my value away unless I give that power away to them. So again, these are things that happen based on our conditioning, our perceptions, our station in life, what we think that other people have that we lack. There are two forms of thought: what is wanted and the absence of what is wanted. So if we think we're lacking something and that's where we place our focus, we are misplacing our true value. Our true value is being present. And when we can be present and own who we are, regardless of outside influence or who's smiling at us or who's approving of us or who's validating us or who can see our goodness, that we can do that for ourselves, not much is going to throw you off track after that. Not much. That doesn't mean we're going to have it perfect. That doesn't mean we're always going to have it figured out, that we're going to get it done on any level ever, because we are human becomings. We are always in the growth pattern. We're always searching for more. What used to be satisfying suddenly wasn't. That we got a better job, we made more money, that we got a bit different relationship, we changed our belief system. Like, we've always done better for ourselves. And when we are doing that, we are in alignment with our true value, our real worth. But it is an inside job. It doesn't come from anybody else. So where are you placing your value? Inside or outside of you? Where is your value coming from? That is the most important thing for you to identify. That what you do and how you do it every day that you get up, and the efforts you're placing out there and the energy you're expending. Are you tired? Are you exhausted? Because if you are, you're probably expending your energy in some place other than where it belongs, which is within you, with you. Keep that sacred. Your value is sacred. Don't give it away. Don't give other people the power to judge you. What they think of you is none of your business. What other people accomplish in their lives, or what they own, or what they have that you don't, is none of your business. Focus on you. You are the one you've been waiting for, and where you place your value, that you can smile at yourself in the mirror. That's the only thing that's ever going to count at the end of the day. So here we go. We got another day. It's time to get loving, get living. Let's go. Thanks for listening. I invite you to leave your feedback and share your aha moments as you listen to this podcast. Also, you can access more information or any of the programs, courses, or worksheets that I've mentioned on these episodes on my website at teresaford.life. Or what I would really love is for you to connect with me on Instagram at teresaford.coaching and on Facebook at Coaching with Teresa Ford, so I can give you more interesting insights and further coaching to help you fulfill the measure of your creation.